Hey, how's it going, everybody? I wanted to show you guys this paint that I used before I show you the gun, because I happen to be really happy with this stuff. This is the second time I've used this brand of Dupli-Color. This was my first project here, and this system just turned out absolutely beautiful. As in, you can use this stuff for either restoring or doing custom game systems. Works on plastic really well. And very happy on how the gun turned out using this. Anyways, this is an 8-ounce can of Dupli-Color Perfect Match Premium Automotive paint. It says on it duplicates Toyota colors, which on that, if you can find this one, cool. You'll be happy with it. Otherwise, try and find something close to this. As in, they got a lot of different colors of black depending on the vehicle. Just the only thing I recommend compared to some of the other stuff that I got, like the black paint that I used on this, before you just outright buy it, take it into a well-lit part of the store, hold it up to the light, and see if it is loaded full of glitter. Because if you're just looking at it on the shelf, you're not going to be able to tell unless it's the stuff that's really loaded. As in, this is pretty much just plain old gloss black. There's maybe just a teeny tiny little bit of glitter in it, man, but not enough to really notice. So other than that, on the color that I got, it's BTY 1566 black 202/204. And after tax, at least for me, you're looking at about $7 for this. But the way it sprays out, I'd swear it's a different formula on the paint, as in different mixture to where it's mixed finer. As in, when I was doing the gun, I was taking my time with it, doing not real slow sweeps, fast sweeps, to where just a little bit at a time to build up the layers. I didn't get any sputtering, no drips, no nothing. Real nice even coat, nice fine mist. So, really like this stuff. And it does have the adjustable nozzle on it, so you can change from a flat fan of paint to sideways or at an angle or whatever, depending on how you want to do it. So, show you how this bad boy turned out. And one thing, the reason I was going really slow with the paint job and just doing really thin layers was the writing there, which very happy with that too. It did not fill in anything. It looks the same way as it did before I painted. Just nicer now. On the other stuff, the grips, they're in good enough shape to where I just went over them with soap and water and just lightly cleaned them up, as in all this stuff here is painted in by hand. So if you find one of these, even one of the newer ones that says Crossman on it or whatever, don't go over this stuff if you're going to clean it with anything that's got chemicals in it. Just soap and water, really light, because that is painted on by hand, and it would suck if it came out. You probably wouldn't be able to duplicate that, as it is painted on with a brush. And then, surprisingly, the guy was right, man. He liked his guns and took care of them. As in, when I opened this thing up, not a bit of rust, man. Just pretty much everything I wiped off was just dirty oil. Everything cleaned up really nice. The hammer, the trigger, little wheel here, and the bolt for putting in your CO2. Just a little bit of damage to some of the screws from where he probably took it apart to repair something or replace the O-rings or whatever. But other than that, really nice. Came out really good. And on sanding, I did not sand the entire thing down to bare metal. As in, this stuff will bond to the old paint. As in, it's made for touching up a vehicle, so I just got probably the lowest grade of steel wool you can get and just carefully go around all the spots where the paint was flaking off just to smooth out that area so it wouldn't show through. Same thing with all the scratches, and had success. So to the point, man, to where if I don't do another gun, I'm sure as hell gonna pick up some of that stuff and use it to retouch some of the bad spots on my car. I'm very impressed with it. Now on things where I'm not impressed, I can see why they started upgrading this pretty damn fast. As in, this is the original one from '58, and the way they did the CO2, I picked up multiple rings. As in, I only replaced 2 of them. There's one to the front, which goes around the circumference of the CO2, and that's all it does on keeping it from spraying out on you, which not too good. And then there's one to the back, as in that whole CO2 thing goes through the cylinder here, sticks out the back, I'd say about almost ½ an inch, and then there is another O-ring on the outside of that where it kind of just locks it into there, so it's got a tight seal. Anyways, that one I kept the same size. The one up front, I kept it the same size at first, thinking that would fix it. Popped in a CO2, went to fire the gun, man, and started spraying all over the damn place. Did not seal for shit. And I do have an idea on why that may be a problem. As in, there was a guy that brought in a bunch of CO2 cartridges, old ones, into my pawn world here in Kingman. And he had some of the little short ones that are about that long. And don't remember exactly how they look, but I'm wondering if the circumference on those are different than the ones we have now, to where maybe those sealed good, and then when they switched to the ones that are a little bit longer like what we have now, different circumference wasn't grabbing onto it well. So anyways, what I've tried so far, I got the next size up on the O-ring here. A little bit thicker, just a tiny bit bigger, to the point where I had to cut it and then slice off a few little chunks of it to get it to fit inside there, which grabs onto the CO2 really good now, but it still doesn't seal good. Doesn't spray out like crazy, but it still leaks. So I'm going to keep working on it, and if I come up with a way to fix it easily and not have it leak at all whatsoever, I will let you guys know. As in, that first time I tried using just a piece of hose stuck in there to where the CO2 had something to press against, that worked pretty damn good. The only problem is I'd do it without thinking, point the gun down, and that damn thing would slide out of there and fall right on the ground and get dirty. So now that I got a thicker O-ring in there, it may stay in place, so I may try that again and have that for the main seal and then the O-ring to back it up and see how that does. Otherwise, man, I'm almost too paranoid to shoot this thing out. It turned out so friggin' beautiful. The point where it's like, I got arthritis in my feet, and when they start hurting, I get clumsy as a freaking oaf, and I'd hate to drop this or just have it get scratched setting it down in the wrong freaking place. As in, it shouldn't scratch too easy, as it's auto paint, and auto paint's a lot harder than the stuff you get at stores like your Trilon and Rust-Oleum and whatnot, but still. Got the other one. The other one works, so I might just have that one to shoot and this one to display. And just get it fixed to the best as I can. As in, all the internal parts, there's not much to this one, man. Really freaking basic for a CO2 gun. On the trigger, just got a little spring right above the trigger here. It's about right in that area. Big enough to where you could spot it eventually, but thin enough on the wire that's for the spring to where if you drop it on carpet, it blends in really well. And I did, and found that out, and was crawling around like a freaking crackhead. And then on other springs, the one for the hammer, that one stays on pretty damn good. I didn't have any problem with that falling off, and it's one of those scissor springs, so you can pull back on it and stuff. The one that was a bitch, and a real bitch to keep it on there while you're putting this back together. If any of you guys have one of these or find one, look to the back of the cylinder and you'll see a little BB in there, or just bearing. That is to make it to where the cylinder stays in place. So when you rotate it here, that's that clicking sound. Anyways, that has a really tiny spring behind it that's kind of just resting in a little slot, and once you put the gun together, it turns into a hole, so the thing holds it in place. But anyways, that's got to be stuck in there, and then have the BB pushed down to where it's literally coiled up and has pressure against that, and it's a real bitch to keep that from moving while you're putting the gun together. Other than that, no problem, man. Nothing like some of the other ones I've taken apart. As in the other one, I haven't opened it up yet. I'm not going to unless I have a problem with how it shoots. As in, the other one's not in as bad a shape as this was on the paint. So, now already up to almost 12 minutes here. Put this on a quit here. Feel free to comment. And on other repairs, man, on my manuals that I downloaded, they show that assembly for the CO2 all taken apart. I have no idea how that comes apart. That's what I was trying to do, was unscrew the end of it, and I could not get it to budge, as in it looks like there's a cap that maybe is stuck on there or unscrews to hold in that O-ring. But you can scoop it out with a flathead screwdriver. Just get a little small precision type one and no problem. Later.